What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop from the start to the end. Alright, so first thing you're going to want to do is obviously open up Photoshop, which is where we're at now. This is the first page that opens when you open it up. Okay, and then you're just going to want to click New File up here, this blue button at the top left, as you can see. And then you're going to select a preset of your choice, or you can do a custom. We have it set to custom 1920 by 1080, 72 pixels per inch. Alright, as you can see, and you're going to name your project. Alright, we're just going to name it video project. And then we'll put the date. Okay, so January 26, 2025. And 5:50 p.m. Okay, so we have it set to 1920 by 1080. You don't need to change the pixels per inch unless you're doing something else. So really all you need to do is set the title and then width and then height and then orientation if you want. Or you can which orientation, obviously, like if you think about it like this is going to be your normal monitor, like what we're on right now. So in this orientation, but if you switch it, then it's basically just going to switch these two around. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. But anyways, click create after you get your title and then your customs or your preset selected. And then there you go, hit create. And now we are inside of our project. So first thing you're going to want to do is find out what images you want to manipulate or use. So we're just going to go ahead and drag in a couple images. So as you can see, you just drag in one image. And this one is smaller than the 1920 by 1080. So as you can see, it's a smaller box. So what we're going to do is just scale it up. And what you can do is drag one of these boxes anywhere. Okay, I like to drag the corners. All right, so what you'll do, in my opinion, is drag the opposite corner. So drag this one first or this one first, whichever one, but you're going to do the opposite after. So this one and then this one, or this one and then this one. But what you're going to want to do is just left click on it, and then as you can see, if we drag it, it moves like that. So a way that you can scale it properly, and also real fast how to undo that, you just want to hold Control and click Z, and then as you can see, it undid it. So now it's back to normal right when we dragged it in. And so what you're going to do is just click and hold here and hold Shift if you want it to scale properly. So as you can see, the farther we're bringing it side to side, it's not stretching it, it just has it, scaled properly. And then, let's say you were accidentally doing it like this and you're like, oh no, I want it to be scaled properly. You just hold Shift while you're dragging it and it'll put it right back to normal. Okay, so as you guys can see, we're just gonna drag it up to the corner there, let go of the clicker, and then let go of Shift. Okay, and then what we can do is pull that corner in like that. So we'll just drag it around with our mouse wherever we want it, and then we're going to grab this corner with left click, hold Shift, and then bring it down. But as you can see, it is not the same aspect ratio as a 1920 by 1080, so it doesn't fit perfectly inside. So like if we had these over on this, then we'd have black borders at the top and the bottom. But once you get your image set to the proper position that you want and you're fine with it, and then also let me tell you guys this real fast, as you can see, like when we're moving it throughout here, you'll have the purple lines that pop up to center the image. So it is perfectly centered right now, as you can see, and it even says 0 pixels off to the right and then 0 pixels off to the bottom, as you can see. But then when we move it around, you can see it's so many pixels off. But once you get it placed in the proper position, all you need to do is click this check mark here. All right, and that is going to set your layer in place. Okay, or you can click this if you want to cancel the layer or the transform. All right, so we're going to click this since we're good. So now we have it set exactly how we want it. So over here, you can see your layers. We have our background layer, which now that we have another layer in, you can go ahead and delete this if you want, or you can just toggle it off. And if you toggle this one off, you see the background transparent layer. Okay, so as you can see too, when we select on the different layers, so like the background versus this one, or if we add in another layer with this button right here, okay, that adds in another layer. This one groups up stuff. Okay, so like let's say we wanted to Here, we'll go ahead and click on this one and click the delete key to delete that out. But let's say we wanted it to add in like a PNG. Okay, so this is a transparent image that has something over it. Okay, as you can see, we're just gonna scale it and center it and then check mark it down to place it in place. We're gonna go ahead and name this as well. So if you want to just double click on the name, or you can right click and rename in here, I believe somewhere. Where is it at? Not sure exactly. It's got to be somewhere in here, right? Right? I feel like it used to be. Is it? I don't know. Whatever. You can just double click and then backspace and then name it. We'll just name it logo. Sure. Okay. So let's say, like I was saying though, we wanted to group these together. You can just highlight both of them. So either click on one and then shift click on the other, or if you have a bunch of layers in between, so like let's say we have, you know, 2 layers in between, if we shift click on the top one after selecting the bottom one, or vice versa, this one and then shift click on this one, then it's going to select all. But let's say we didn't want all of those to be in a group, we could just select this one and then control click this one, or vice versa, and then click the group, and it will go ahead and throw them inside of a group. But just know that any layer that is on top of one, so like for example our logo that we have here is on top of this one, that means that you will see it on top of the image. As soon as we drag it below the background layer, which is the snow, then it will be hidden because it is behind that layer. Okay, so if you want to resize an image after you already have it placed down, so like let's say our logo, we want to resize it, you're just going to go ahead and select on the layer, and then you're going to want to hold Control and click T, okay? And that brings us up to our resizing and rescaling ability, all right? And we're going to go ahead and center it off right there and then place it down again, okay? So let's say you want to control the color of something. So like let's say our logo, we want to make it black instead. So what you can do is you can either right click after selecting that layer and then go here to blending options, or more simply you can just click over here in the right side 2 times, all right, and it'll bring up our blending options here. As you can see, blending options, all right. And there's a number of different effects that you can use. You can even add in some more of them if you want. Or, you know, like let's say we wanted to give a stroke. I'll show you guys the color overlay in a second, but let's say the stroke, like so, we wanted to add a black stroke and then a white stroke. As you can see, we have 2, and the more strokes you want, you can just add more of them. Make sure you're selected on the layer if you want to change anything about the stroke, like the sizing and whatnot, and make it outside, inside, center, blending mode, the opacity, and the color, and you can also make it a gradient or a pattern and whatnot. But let's go down here to the overlay. Okay, so color overlay, here it is right here. So let's say we wanted to make it black or any other color, we would just click on color overlay, and then you can control the color of said logo. All right, so that is how you can control the color of something very easily. If it's like a logo or one simple solid object, you know, you wouldn't want to do it to like, for say this image right here, because then the whole thing would just be, you know, one color. So it's really good for like PNGs. And so in case you guys don't know, a JPEG is something that, so like this image could be a JPEG, but if it's a JPEG, then everything that is transparent, so like everything that we see through, would be all white or black, depending on, you know, the opposite of what the thing is. So if the logo is white, then it would all be black, and if the logo is black, then it would all be white. Well, just so that you can see the difference. But since it's a PNG, that is what makes this background transparent and us being able to see through all these little areas and whatnot. So if you're ever on a different tool accidentally and you're trying to move something around, so like let's say drag a layer around, just make sure that you have this one selected right here, the move tool. You can also click V to instantly pull that up, and then there you go. You can drag any layer around however you like. All right. Real quick, I'm going to show you guys how to zoom in on your project. All right, all you're going to want to do is hold Z, and then what you can do is just click and then drag up or down, and that will zoom in and out. And then if you want to pan around, so like let's say we want to do pan around and look at something, we can hold space and then just drag ourselves around. And as you can see, we can just click and drag and then move to a different position. And then when we want to zoom out, we just hold Z and then drag down, and then, you know, space, and then click and move ourselves to where we want it to be centered on our project. And there you guys go. Now I'm going to show you guys how to export your image once you're done. There's multiple ways that you can do this. You can either, also real quick, make sure you always save your project. All right, always save your projects. Okay, and then real quick, this is how you're going to export it. You click File up here, and then right here, as you can see, Export, and then I like to do Export As, and it is going to pull up the export section. And then what you can do is you can see how many layers that you're exporting. So we're exporting all of this into one layer. All right, so it's going to be one image. It says it's going to be a PNG. You can control whether it's a PNG here or a JPEG if you want, or a GIF, whichever you like. You can check the transparency, but you can only do that on PNG. Okay, so like let's say we wanted to export just the logo and still have a transparent background, but we made it black instead of white, then there we go. We would go like this. So we would just click on the logo, and then we would right click there and then export as. And as you can see, now we have it selected as PNG. But back to where we were when we were exporting through here. So you can change, you know, your width and your height, your scaling, and all this other stuff. You don't really need to change any of this stuff. I would just recommend just staying with just these three. So the file settings, you know, the file type or the format, whether it's transparent if you need it to be. And like I said, it can only be transparent if it's on PNG. And then what you can do is use smaller file. So like let's say you're trying to make a YouTube thumbnail. A YouTube thumbnail only allows you to upload a max of 2 megabytes for the file. So this is too big for a YouTube thumbnail. So what you can do is click this, and then most of the times it will be lower than the 2 megabytes. So there you go. You could post that as a YouTube thumbnail if you select the smaller file. And then all you need to do is click export, and it's going to ask you to select the location and name your file that you're exporting, which is said image. And then there you go. Your image is exported from Photoshop, and that is all you need to do. But let's say, okay, so let's say you don't want to export the whole entire project, and let's say you don't want to export just the logo or just one layer like I showed you. So what you could do is, let's bring in another option here real fast. We will bring in, I don't know, this hand or something real quick. Okay, so let's say we have this hand and the logo, and we want them to both be in a group. So we're going to select both of them and put them into a group. All right, so we want just the logo and just the hand to be in our image. All right, so what you're going to do is group them up. Like I said, right click on the group, and then you can export as. And as you can see, there we go. We have just the hand and the logo. But as you can see, it changes your file size actually. So not like the size of it, obviously that's going to be different too, but it's because we have a lot of transparent background and whatnot. But as you can see, it's not a 1920 by 1080 anymore, because we're just exporting simply, you know what I mean, just what we want. Okay, and then click export, obviously, and then there you go. And that's really how you use Photoshop at a basic you know, way of using it. You know, not getting too complex on doing too many complex things right now. We will later, but just showing you guys the simplicity on how to basically use it for new beginners. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.